The Ashlands introduces many of the most dangerous creatures ever to Valheim. Today, I will detail everything there is to know about their attacks, resistances, drops, and weapon recommendations for each creature, and reveal my overall best weapons for the biome near the end. The first creature you will encounter is the Bonemaw Serpent, protecting the waters off the coast. These behave very similarly to the basic serpent, but are much more powerful. They have 3 attacks: a ranged projectile that when hit does blunt damage and applies poison and burn damage over time, a taunt where if close enough will hit you for both slash and poison, and finally a bite dealing slash. Rather than say each of their strengths and weaknesses aloud, I will display them on screen as I am now, and will do so for each creature going forward, and will provide a full summary of all creatures at the end. Plus, I will link the Google Doc with complete stats in the video description. Considering their weakness to frost, the recommended choice would be the Spine Snap Bow and Frost Arrows. However, if you are practicing magic, the Staff of Frost absolutely decimates the serpent, especially if they are foolish enough to get close. Defeating the serpent will give you bone maw meat, their tooth, and a 33% chance for their trophy. No scale like their ocean counterpart. Keep in mind that the trophy will sink, so kill these near the shore for this drop. Joining the Bone Serpent off the coast of the biome are the airborne Vultures. While there is a chance you encounter them amongst the rock spires on your journey, these will also be found protecting their nests on the coast of the Ashlands. Often found in groups of 3 or 4, these birds have only one attack with their talons dealing slash damage. Like the serpent before them, we can take advantage of their weakness to frost with either the Frost Arrows or Staff of Frost. That said, they must get close to attack, so the Mistwalker is a good melee option. The birds have 3 drops in their eggs, meat, feathers, and a 10% chance for their trophy. Make sure you chop up the bones around their nests for even more eggs used in great food recipes. In addition to flocks of vultures, on shore you will be greeted by the first 3 of the 4 Charred clan, in the Twitcher, Warrior, and Marksmen. The 4th type we will encounter a bit later. First, the Twitcher is the trash mob of the biome, and these will be scattered across the Ashen Wasteland. These are equipped with both a ranged rock throw, surprisingly dealing pierce, and a slash dealing melee attack for when they close distance. You will likely encounter their spawners in Pillars of Torment. If not destroyed, these will continuously spawn the trash mob, and occasionally the more dangerous warrior version of the Charred. These Charred, fortunately, do not have a ranged attack, but prefer to stalk you endlessly, looking to get close and slice you with their great swords. They have 4 attack patterns to learn. They both have a slash and thrust ability, but also faint versions of the same attacks to throw you off your timing. The variants in their attack patterns make these creatures a pain to block or parry successfully. Third of the Charred are the range dealing Marksmen. These do not have a melee attack and prefer to commit to range warfare with 2 distinct attack patterns. First, a straightforward single arrow shot like we have seen previously from archers in other biomes. Second, a unique volley of arrows with both dealing pierce damage with the volley doing slightly less. Each of these creatures in isolation are manageable, but the difficulty does increase when attacked by all of them together, which will be common in the Ashlands. Fortunately, all 3 Charred share the same strengths and weaknesses, so we can plan for them similarly. For the Charred, avoid pierce-dealing weapons like Aegir's, spears, and even bows without elemental damaging arrows. While none of them are weak to frost damage, the slowing effect applied by frost cannot be ignored considering the hordes of enemies you will fight. For this reason, the Mistwalker would be my choice, but a sleeper pick could be the Frostner, as neither deal pierce damage but also capitalize on the Charred's weakness to spirit damage. For spellcasters, the Staff of Protection is a no-brainer, absorbing incoming damage, with the Staff of Frost excelling at slowing and destroying the nearby warriors and Twitchers. I still recommend the Staff of Embers despite the resistance to fire, as you must remember, this staff also does a ton of blunt damage in addition to the fire. Once defeated, the Charred each drop Charred bones, and the Warrior and Marksman will each have a 5% chance to drop their trophy, while the Twitcher is one of the 3 creatures in the biome without a trophy. Moving inland, we will start encountering even more dangerous creatures that the biome has to offer in the Asksvin, Morgen, Lava Blob, and magic-wielding Fallen Valkyrie. Starting with the Asksvin, these are the spiritual locks of the biome and typically will be found in groups of 2 or 3, proving a challenge. They have 3 attacks, with the first 2 being close range and a blunt and slash dealing bite, a blunt dealing headbutt, as well as a blunt dealing pounce attack that allows them to quickly close distance with you. Unlike the undead we have seen so far, the Asksvin are immune to spirit without a resistance to pierce. For this reason, I think it's a great opportunity to use my all-time favorite weapon in the Immunoffle. and the Immunoffle for massive pierce and lightning damage, while also adding the crowd control capabilities with a secondary accurate attack. That said, there is no reason why the same weapons we recommended for the Charred would not also be useful here. As lava begins to become part of the terrain, you will surely encounter the lava blobs. These behave the same as those in the swamp, sliding and leaping forward in your direction. What makes these more dangerous than their green counterparts is their explosive nature. If close to you, they will explode, dealing massive fire and blunt damage. Furthermore, destroying them will also cause them to explode. For this reason, either deal with them at range or use my preferred strategy to bait them to explode and use your dodge to avoid the damage, saving yourself Iter or an arrow. If tackling from range, add some frost arrows to take advantage of the frost weakness or staff of embers for the blunt. But if brave, the combination of the blunt and frost damage from the Frostner may very well be the best choice. Whether they explode on their own accord or are defeated by you, they will reward the player with both sulfur and proustite powder, but like the Twitcher, no trophy. At this stage, you will have likely encountered the massive Morgen rolling around the lava, or encountered one inside one of the many putrid holes found on the coast of the biome. Unlike those found in the overworld, those in the putrid holes will initially be buried and only emerge shortly after you enter. The Morgen are the spiritual trolls of this biome, but significantly quicker, dealing damage in 4 different ways. First, they will reposition quickly with a roll. This roll will do blunt damage to you and the environment if hit. Secondly, if close, as the Morgen enters its roll, its body slamming into the ground will also do blunt damage to nearby players and structures. Third and fourth, they will either swipe or bite you, in this case dealing pierce damage. While being resistant to all physical damage, they do have a sole weakness to lightning. For them, it is a good opportunity to use the Immunoffle again, the only pre-Ashlands weapon to do lightning damage. Defeated Morgen will drop their sinew, heart, and a 5% chance of their trophy. Before diving into the Ashlands fortresses, we must deal with the magic wielding and flying fallen Valkyrie. These may be the most dangerous creature in the biome, spotted floating above the lava and ash and firing their signature poison and fire damaging magic balls. That said, they are not afraid to get up close and personal for a melee attack as well. From range, they will launch fire and poison dealing balls like that of the Bonemaw Serpent, dealing direct blunt damage and poison and burning over time. Watch your feet, as this attack will also catch the earth on fire, damaging you if you walk through it. If getting close, they will either claw you for slash and pierce damage or do a massive spinning attack, in that case dealing blunt and pierce. With the Valkyrie being airborne and being so dangerous when close, I must recommend the Spine Snap and Silver Arrows to maximize spirit for dealing with this menace. At least the battle will be worth it, as the Valkyrie drops Celestial Feathers, which will be critical for Ashland spellcasters, and what the Valheim wiki says is a 50% chance for their trophy, but in my experience, I think it's closer to 5%. As we turn our attention towards the fortresses, they will be protected by 4 Skugg turrets on each of the corners, launching bolts at you, dealing pierce damage. Dealing with these before entering the fortress will make your life easier. Any bow and arrow will work nicely here, but I prefer fireballs from the Staff of Embers to make quick work of these. The Skuggs will give you the Charred Cogswheel and Bone Fragments, of which the Cogswheel will unlock the recipe for the catapult. Inside the fortress, you will find the Charred Warriors, Marksmen, as well as the 4th member of the Charred Gang in the Warlock. This Warlock will both fire green fireballs at you and summon green versions of the Twitcher to harass. If hit directly with the fireball, it will do pierce, blunt, and fire damage. However, if it does miss, it will leave a green fire damage dealing vortex on the ground should you step through it. Fortunately, the green Twitchers are weaker than the regular counterparts, having the same moveset but have reduced health. The Warlocks mimic the same set of resistances as the rest of the Charred clan, but with an added resistance to frost. Despite this, the Mistwalker, I believe, still reigns supreme for the additional spirit damage. Before getting to my overall recommendations for the biome, we must confront this biome's mini-boss. Lord Reto's mysterious location can be added to your map via Bedfisser stones found within putrid holes. Once found, dig into his lair and fight him to gain the Deermwind hilt fragment used in crafting the Deermwind sword. I still can't believe he doesn't have a trophy. His moveset is the exact same as the Charred Warrior before him, with the 4 unique attacks, except he hits much harder. As you might expect, the Mistwalker and Frostner are yet again recommendations I would make for battling the Undead King. And before reviewing my overall recommendations, here are the full creature stats, as promised, of which I will also include a link for in the video description. While I will not spoil the Ashlands boss in this video, I do have a set of recommendations for both pre-Ashlands weapons, as well as from the new sets of weapons for tackling Valheim's most dangerous biome yet. First, the pre-Ashlands weapons, where it is no surprise that I recommend the Mistwalker and Frostner. With 9 of the 13 creatures weak to either Frost or Spirit, both weapons have you covered. This, combined with the massive benefit of the slow effect applied by the freezing, is a no-brainer. Similarly, the Staff of Frost is untouchable from a spellcasting perspective for the same 2 reasons. Combine this with the OP protective bubbles from the Staff of Protection, and you will dominate this biome. As for the new Ashlands weapons, the Iolite-infused lightning versions stand out from the rest, and specifically the Berserkir Axes of Thundering and Stormstar Flame Metal Mace. No creatures in the Ashlands are weak to lightning damage, and the Chain Lightning Chance excels at dealing with the swarm of creatures you will surely encounter. Plus, the Axe's raw attack speed allows for a higher chance of Chain Lightning, and the Mace's massive knockback will allow you the space and therefore time to outmaneuver the Undead Horde. And if you want to know my Ashland Stab recommendations and more, this video on screen is the one for you.